You can support this podcast and get shows early and ad-free, as well as bonus episodes over at patreon.com/flashback64. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Flashback 64, one of our special double feature movie episodes. I'm Gooey, joined as always by McKenna.
Hello. And
we've got, who else could we get for such a, iconic set of movies here? Our good pals from the Media Made podcast. We've got Jess and Rod. What's up?
Hello.
Hello.
Currently, your ceiling is up, but who knows what's above that? I don't have a telescope.
Now I'm scared, actually.
It truly is. Doom could be up.
Well, welcome back to the show. It's good to have you both. We're again exploring the phenomenon of double features of movies from the 90s with similar themes, I guess.
Twin
and I
movies.
think this twin movies, yes. And I think this is probably takes the cake of them all. Like, this is the one where, even though the movies are so different, I feel like the premises are the most similar. So.
Yeah.
I listened to some movie podcasts, and one of them, the term impacto profundo, referencing one of the movies we're going to talk about, is their unofficial term for a twin movie. So if you have, if you're, if two movies come out with a similar premise, they say, it's an impacto profundo.
Okay, I'm going to try to, I feel like I've heard you say that before, and I need to internalize that.
That's better than me. I was going to call it a Mary Kate and or Ashley.
Yeah, there you go.
That's good too.
Just different twins.
Or Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
Which is much more in line with these two movies.
Yes. I guess we haven't mentioned it, but I mean, I'm sure if you're listening, you've seen the title, but we're talking about Deep Impact and Armageddon. And people can't see, but I'm holding up the VHSs of the movies.
Almost similar album covers or tape covers as well.
Yeah, a little more blue in Deep Impact, which makes sense, with the big wave. Spoilers. Armageddon. Well, we'll talk about it, but I mean, I always found the cover of this, the graphic design of this, captivating when I was 8 years old. But I'll explain why when we talk about that. But okay, we got two movies to talk about, and I have it split up to where we'll talk about each movie individually, but of course there'll be obvious, comparison points. So, don't be afraid, anyone, to wander into the other movie's yard a little bit. But I figured we could at least, talk about them individually a little bit too. So we're going to go in chronological order and probably start with the heavier movie first. We're going to talk about Deep Impact.
The one that is objectively better.
Ooh. I do not share that feeling.
Okay, because that's we're going to answer. I saw a post. Did I write it down? Okay, yeah, I saw a post like a few months ago or last month on Blue Sky from a user named Norm Charlatan that says you can learn a lot about a person from where they fall on the Armageddon Deep Impact cross volcano Dante's Peak preference chart. And since we'll have talked about all of them, I think we can, it's sort of like our horoscope that we can sort of work out.
I want to say, I think I bullied us into doing this episode, by the way, because I was like, because Jess and we just talked about webcomics on our show for April Fool's Day. And my favorite webcomic is called Homestuck. And the main character has an affinity for awful movies. That's his character. That's one of his character traits. And on the walls of his room, he has many different movie posters. And both of these movies are on his wall. And that reminded me, oh man, we need to talk Deep Impact and Armageddon with Flashback.
Yeah, I always think of Con Air as the one movie
yes
that he loves.
A lot of crossovers with another movie, or one of these movies actually.
Yeah.
Con Air. We'll talk about that one with Armageddon.
So I'll give some brief information here. Deep Impact came out May 8th, 1998, directed by Mimi Leader, I believe is the pronunciation, and it was written by Bruce, Joel Rubin, and Michael Tolkien, with a score from James Horner. So love to hear that.
A bunch of Oscar winners, by the way.
Yeah, a bunch of legends here in both movies, I will say. McKenna, why don't you read the back of the VHS?
Okay. What would you do if you knew that in a handful of days, an enormous comet would collide with Earth and all humanity could be annihilated? The countdown to doomsday is underway in this gut-wrenching, eye-opening blast of a movie experience. Mimi Leader directs, guiding an all-star cast featuring Robert Duvall, Téa Leoni, Elijah Wood, Vanessa Redgrave, Maximilian Schell, and Morgan Freeman. With the film's dynamic fusion of large-scale excitement and touching human-scale storylines, Deep Impact makes its impact felt in a big and unforgettable way.
Nice. So
they don't have the big line on there. Oceans rise, cities fall, hope survives.
Oh, that's on the front of the tape.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Look at actually, you got to give it up. Actually, the graphic design on this cover here is also really. This is a good. Like I would hang this on my wall. I don't know if in 1998 I would have had the Armageddon poster on my wall, but
why not both? Goo.
Well, this one's like, I guess if I want to look at Bruce Willis and co, but okay, some backstory. So I thought the story of the director was kind of interesting. She got her start directing TV, won an Emmy for ER as like one of the main writers. And then Steven Spielberg hired her to direct the movie The Peacemaker, which came out the previous year. We watched that together. It was like in our timeline. That was a George Clooney, Nicole Kidman joint. And it was the first of 3 DreamWorks films, followed by Amistad, which was directed by Spielberg, and Mouse Hunt, which we talked about, Rod. And so, yeah, this was film number 3 for Spielberg's new production studio. And it was also, there's kind of like a sort of like a Frankensteining of some ideas to make it, because I think it began as a remake of an older film called When Worlds Collide, and then Steven Spielberg wanted to do an adaptation of Hammer of the Gods, and something happened where they kind of just combined these two things, but then Spielberg was too busy directing Amistad, so they pulled in Mimi Leader to keep the movie on track because they knew about Armageddon coming out, and they wanted to stay on top of it. So, yeah, that's a little bit of a background on it. Rod or Jess, had either of you seen this film before, or like what do you think about it generally? I guess
not. I said the cat.
No, this was our first viewing of both of these movies. My only really familiarity with both of them was Homestuck, and of course like Impacto Profundo, which is just the Spanish language title for Deep Impact, if anyone didn't know.
Thank you for the translation.
But I think it's funny that this is another example of the DreamWorks Disney rivalry of the late 90s, because Spielberg started DreamWorks with Jeffrey Katzenberg, who was a former executive at Disney. He is a guy who is, partly responsible for the Disney Renaissance of the 90s. And he got into a big fight with Michael Eisner of Disney and said, I'm out of here. I'm going to start my own studio with Steven Spielberg. And all of the movies I know you are producing, like I know you have a bunch of movies on your slate in production. I'm going to beat you to the punch. We're going to make a bunch of movies that steal your thunder, including like A Bug's Life. We're gonna make Ants and Monsters Inc. You got Monsters Inc. Well, we're gonna have Shrek.
And that in the
Interesting.
biz is what we call a real punk move.
Yeah. Yes. We're gonna make the Prince of Egypt before you can get out. I don't know, Mulan or something.
Both very good movies.
Yeah. And
we were eating good.
So if they're like, oh, Disney's making Armageddon, we got to get in there and make Deep Impact. And I read on the Wikipedia that the writer of Deep Impact, he alleged that Disney stole all of his ideas after a meeting.
That's what I had read too. So I thought that was interesting what you're saying, but
yeah,
I couldn't find anything to like back that up. But I wouldn't surprise me. But based on what you're saying, it sounds like it's more
plausible.
likely. Yeah,
there was
that
a lot
would only
of
make sense because this came out first. So, but I don't know.
there were opportunities for these two companies to steal from each other at the time.
Hey, well, if you don't bite, you don't eat. McKenna, what did you think? You hadn't seen the movie before, right?
No.
Okay.
I think I maybe saw like a couple scenes. Like I remember like the highway, like everybody being stuck on the highway. I'd seen that. I think maybe just like the ending.
Okay.
But
this is way up. This is up your alley. You like it? Well, this isn't really for most of it. It's not really a disaster.
Yeah, I think
movie.
these both are kind of very like they're like kind of in a different category from other disaster movies. Like most of the threat is like at the end of the movie.
You're waiting for it. Yeah.
Instead of it like kind of being interspersed throughout. Although Armageddon has a little bit.
They worked in a way to get a little bit of like here it comes.
Yeah, but it ends up being watching this made me think a lot about Majora's Mask. I kind of thought like I was thinking like both of these came out in 98. I'm wondering if they gave any inspiration to Majora's Mask, just like the concept of something coming to your living place and impending death.
It makes sense.
And especially this one, like it's dealing with more the human relationship aspect of things, and like what are you doing when you're pretty sure you're gonna die.
I would make sense just because they did make Majora's Mask like really quick turnaround, so I could see what is the most. Well, I'm thinking more of Armageddon was the number one movie at the box office that year, so I could definitely see them just going based off of that and being like, okay, fine, let's do that really turn around real quick. Jess, you hinted you liked this one a little bit better. Was it? I'm going to be honest. When we were watching both of them, I pictured both of you guys watching these movies, and when we were watching Armageddon, I was like, "There's no way they are enjoying this movie." But I was curious to hear, what you thought about Deep Impact.
Wait,
like,
which one did you guys watch first? Did you watch Deep Impact and then Armageddon, or did you watch Armageddon and then Deep Impact?
We went reverse order because I thought I had seen Armageddon before, and I was like, this is going to be the most, it's like a big blockbuster and it's going to be dumb. So I was like, it's going to be the easiest to remember because you don't have to remember. we watched them like a week apart, so we did that first. And then I was like, the one that I think is going to be like a better movie, let's save that to closer to the pod because I feel like there will be more to talk about. And I think there is, but I don't know. What'd you think, Jess?
So, well, part of the reason I said it is because I knew that Rod disagrees with me wholeheartedly.
Yeah, your guess was wrong, Goo.
No, I will also say, okay, here's the thing. There are a lot of things I like better in this movie, and some of them are for like silly personal reasons rather than it was better made. One of them being it has the more charismatic president, and if Morgan Freeman ever looked me in the eye and said anything that he said to that reporter, I I would cry and pee my pants.
So
In
true.
fact, we watched Deep Impact first, I think, just because I was like, hey, which one do you want to watch? We got one with Bruce Willis and Liv Tyler, and we got one with Morgan Freeman. And you said, oh, Morgan Freeman.
Let's do Morgan Freeman.
Smart.
But also, I think I may have said this to you guys, or maybe I said it on one of our podcast episodes. I don't watch disaster movies in general. I mean, I'll watch them, but specifically ones that are space themed, because it is one of my big irrational fears. Because one day in what comes before middle school, elementary, we had like a thing in the auditorium where a man was presenting about like, and this is what the cosmos are like, and we all have a little bit of gold dust in us, and also one day the sun will grow so very big that it will explode because it's a big old star, but before that it will already grow big enough to encompass the first 3 planets, and you're on that, but don't worry, you'll be long dead. And I have an irrational fear of space stuff killing me, so I don't reach for these movies.
I don't blame you.
So I think that Deep Impact I enjoyed because there was such a long time period. There was things they think they could have done better in the narrative, but like the idea of it's like, hey, so we have a year and a half to kind of like deal with the existential crisis of all of us dying horribly, was more pleasant to me, because I was like, okay, what do we do in this time? Like, what are we going to do? Let's see all the little moving pieces. And I typically like ensemble pieces a lot. I like to be able to see the lives and the movements of a lot of different characters, rather than just like one focused group. Though that's also what ensemble is, one focused group, but you see them moving around a lot more. So I think that those are the things that the elements of this movie that I liked more than Armageddon on Deeper Impact.
Armageddon.
I agree with everything. Like I have most of those things as like the comparison points between the movies, and that thing you said about the fear, like there are, I can definitely see
fear
things.
Morgan Freeman.
Well, I actually said when Morgan Freeman showed up, I was like, I said this to McKenna, I was like, it's kind of a cheat code to be like, and Morgan Freeman's the president. Like your cast could be whatever at that point. He was so good. But the fear of space, like this movie actually worked on me. Like there was a couple times where I got like genuinely freaked out by the idea of it, which I never cared at Armageddon, to be quite honest. And that's like the first thing I would say about this. Like both movies have, some more than others, some outlandish science stuff, but that seems like a thing they're going for with this one, of like making it feel grounded and realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought into it.
Yeah,
it's much more like believable, even if it's not 100% accurate.
I had read that a bunch of like astronomers and space scientists would agree that this one's based more on scientific fact.
Yeah, it's for sure not the case with Armageddon, but I'm sure someone could also look at Deep Impact and point out the flaws. But
one of the major things, like beginning of the movie, here they find out a comet the size of New York City is on the way a year ahead of time. Armageddon, it's an asteroid the size of Texas that they find out about a few weeks, and I'm like, no, that would not happen. People would have known about it. People are just looking up at space for fun. We would have known.
That's exactly what I said. I was word for word. I was like, no, what are we talking about? 18 hours? It's a days. I don't know. I was like, no. Okay, I guess I have to turn my brain off right now. The movie told me to turn my brain off from the beginning.
That's where we can say like, okay, Morgan Freeman, he gets up on the podium and announces to the world, all right, we got this comet, excuse me. We have a comet coming. We've known about it for a year. We've been planning. And Jess and I were watching it. I was like, wow, how novel. A president that saw a crisis coming way ahead of time and had a really like maybe not well thought out plan, but he had a plan.
He had a plan.
And he got up there and he told the populace, like, there will be no looting, there will be no killing. And Jess was like, how are you going to guarantee that? And then Morgan Freeman just looked at the camera and like with such conviction, we're like, yep, he's right.
I was like, yep, never doubt President Freeman. Don't do it.
It does take a sort of hopeful view of humanity where I feel like Michael Bay in all his movies, I feel like he maybe has slight disdain for humanity.
Yeah.
Not as much in Armageddon, but that a little bit shines through in a couple scenes. But in this, it felt like, yeah, it did feel like I that did stick out to me watching it where I was like, if this happened now, I don't know if this is how we would. I don't know if we would make it, to be honest. Like, I don't know if anyone would stand a chance.
I wouldn't have even watched the presidential address, to be honest.
Yeah.
I would have caught it 2 weeks later on YouTube. Maybe.
I don't know if that was like, there's a lot of like 90s psychology or sociology we could probably talk about throughout this. Just the idea of like, it feels like with a lot of these disasters, a lot of these pre 9/11 disasters, it does feel like there's like a yearning or something for something to happen.
Like, we're so bored.
Yeah, New York City really had a tough go in the movies in 1998 because this is the same summer as Godzilla.
Yes, which is kind of referenced in Armageddon.
It is.
They destroyed New York City so much in the 90s, and then like
this
now a few years later, we're like, oh, we can't do that anymore.
I think they need to save New York City in Spider-Man or whatever.
I think they actually had to edit Armageddon when they aired it on TV later, because there is like a shot of like a smoldering World Trade Center, crazy imagery. But I feel like it gets it a lot in movies. Like, we've definitely seen that before, because it's like, well, you can. Okay, I don't want to get into it, but I was going to say you see why they went for it. It's like really iconic imagery there.
One of the other reasons that I did really like this one was for the like science of it. I listened to a podcast called Midnight Burger. If you haven't listened to it, you guys should. It's great. And it's like science fiction and science fact mixed in. And there's like a whole thing about a comet, and they explain, if a comet of this size hits the Earth, these are the things that will happen. And it's a lot of that is science fact. And hearing it in the movie, I was like, yeah, it's comforting, but also not, No. And some of the stuff where it's like, okay, yeah, we're going to stay in these bunkers for 2 years until like the dust settles. And I was like, it's actually probably going to take about 6 years for the air to be breathable and for the waters to have calmed down enough for you guys to, and I don't know. I was just like, I really appreciated that about the movie, even though at the same time I was slightly hyperventilating.
Yeah, I was like, that seems hopeful. Like, I don't know, but I was like, I'm no scientist, so sure, if that's what they say. The other little bit of like the psychology that I thought of when they were talking about that no looting thing was there's like a brief moment in the movie where they show maybe like a news thing about, something bad stuff actually happening in the world, like just off of, just out of like distance of like the perspective of this movie. And that did also feel like very like 90s American, like bad stuff happens in the world, but we don't see it. You know what I mean? I would actually be curious of a movie that is like similar to this, but maybe takes a more like actually more like realistic approach. Like I could see it going a lot of ways and being like bad or we were watching a thing, McKenna, about that movie Greenland that it goes like super cynical. But I don't know. I could see a version of that maybe has a point and is interesting. I don't know. That was just something I thought about of like, oh yeah, like even they don't even really focus too much on like the rest of the world in this movie.
That was
interesting.
They just assume, all these other, established countries, they have their own plans and they have their own arcs and their own tunnels that they're going to dig it. I was like, every one of them, huh?
In Armageddon, they try to, they do the thing. It reminds me of the Majora's Mask commercials where people are like watching across the world. And they do this a lot in those movies, like whatever, Independence Day or any of those movies where they show different parts of the world. But it felt very hollow, I guess, like those shots of like, oh, they're all at the Taj Mahal. It's just like the most obvious stuff. I mean, it looked cool, but it didn't really, even like the American stuff they show of that feels very like it looks, I think Affleck might have said it looks like a commercial or whatever.
Yeah, there were definitely things that looked like that.
So I did think in this, the like human perspectives they actually did hit upon were more effective to me. And I agree with you, Jess, that I feel like even though they took a wider scope of like people to cover, that for me, it felt more like I felt more engaged with those characters.
I kind of wish we would just like, the movie would have focused more in on the emotional character stuff, because they tried to play it both ways. They tried to have engaging character driven stories, but at the same time, they also leaned into the disaster movie stakes. Like, okay, here's the plan. We're going to blow up this comet with some nukes. We have some spacemen up there. But also, Elijah Wood's going to run away from a wave on a motorbike.
No problem.
It was, in my head, it wasn't cerebral enough, but it also wasn't dumb enough. It couldn't be both.
I can see that.
Yeah, I will have to agree with that. Like, that was a lot of the failings, because I was like, okay, well, let's focus on these things. It was, I think, probably 5 minutes before Elijah Wood's character appeared back on screen, I was like, they just wasted some kind of important characters at the beginning, and we're never going to see them again because we hadn't. And then suddenly it's like, oh, they thought I died in a car crash. What is this kid doing here? He's
that was weird.
And it was like a lot of things where it's like they didn't utilize the characters for important scenes. Or like really heavily emotional, like moving scenes. One of the things I had said out loud when we were watching it is the thing that like could have hit the hardest and did hit the hardest of everything was I don't remember the reporter's name, but her mom deciding to spoilers, hi people who are listening to this, I'm sure you've already watched it, she killed herself, and that was very sad. And her daughter collected her things, but the very end, when she's like rushing around, the reporter's rushing around, I was like, why is she not wearing her mom's necklace? Because the necklace on her mom was so prominent the entire time. Anytime we saw her on screen, and then it was so prominent in her daughter's hands as she's collecting it, as she's just identified the body. And it was like, why is that necklace not on her? Like, even something that small,
that's good,
would have been so beautiful. And that was the thing that I felt like that fell flat a lot of the times, is they didn't utilize the characters in a way to really not just make me be like, I'm so fearful for this world ending thing, this thing that is going to kill us, but also to feel with the people who are going to lose their lives and care for them.
Yeah.
Because even if we save the day, not everyone is going to survive, Yeah.
The Téa Leoni plotline is another good example of how that wasn't handled effectively, in my opinion. She's a journalist. The first half an hour of the movie, you really just follow her trying to unravel this conspiracy. She thinks the president's involved in some kind of sex scandal, which is 1998. Again, ripped from the headlines there.
Yep.
But slowly it's revealed to her. I'm not going to say she reveals, because she doesn't really come to, she doesn't come to any realization herself. It's kind of just gifted to her. It's, oh, no. The president's not hiding a sex scandal. He's hiding this end of the world event. What is it?
ELE,
extinction level event. But I thought, and maybe it's just because I tangentially work in the press, and I know what it's like to chase down leads and stuff like that to an extent. But I really would have liked to see Téa Leoni, almost like a mystery movie, her come to some conclusions based on the evidence she's collected. We never get that scene. There's a scene where she's talking to herself in her car to her tape recorder, like trying to put the pieces together, but before she even thinks to herself, wait a minute, I noticed when I was on this dock talking to the senator, or talking to like a White House aide or something, he was some kind of administration figure. I noticed
James
he had a bunch of He had a bunch of food like stored up next to his boat, and he was going off with his family. That was odd. And I know, so she noticed things, but she never really put it into words that, wait a minute, I'm being lied to. Wait a minute, it's not a sex scandal. It's this. That never happens. Instead, she's just abducted by the Secret Service, kind of just told everything.
Well, hold on. She did have to go to Usenet and
that scene sucked.
I thought you were going to talk about
I forgot about that.
She's so good at Googling.
I was so mad. I was like, the only thing that gives her an inclination of what's happening is she goes on the internet and like basically Googles Ellie. and finds
Ellie Goulding didn't pop up. I don't understand.
She finds a random news article or like a research paper on like a janky university website that references extinction level event, and that what plants the seeds in her head.
Mm-hmm.
It's absurd.
Does this all connect to you, like these criticisms, or how did it hit for you?
Yeah, I say I agree, because it sets her up as like this ambitious journalist, and like the one thing they show her investigating, she pretty much gets completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And the Secret Service just basically like they assume that she knows something that she doesn't know, and like they just ignored it. She could have gone off chasing this. Maybe she wouldn't have found out. Maybe she would. Maybe they didn't need to do that, and she actually does some investigative work and figures it out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that would have been a better use of their time.
I have sort of a defense of the movie, but it also comes with its own criticism, and I actually can see everything you all are saying, and I felt what kind of made the movie interesting was that it was like we paused it like right at the halfway point. I forgot like to get I don't know what we did, but I noticed it was the halfway point, and it's almost like two different movies going on. The first half, like you said, Rod, there's sort of this political thriller that turns into this disaster, like space mission, and like the halfway point of the movie is when they fail to blow up the asteroid.
Halfway through is where Armageddon ends.
Yeah. I was honestly really tense with all this. I think I did bite on, like I said, the real reality of it. Like, and I felt like I wasn't thinking so much. The thing you say about the reporter does make sense now, but I was thinking about like the wide cast of characters. Like, I was able to like put myself in the reality of like seeing this on the news and like trying to take in all this information and then seeing the mission happen. I thought the space mission of blowing up the thing was a more compelling action scene than anything in Armageddon, even though it had less pizzazz. But then the second half of the movie, it flips and it becomes like almost like a religious movie, and very melodramatic. That was a lot of
melodramatic.
That was something that stuck out to me the whole time, like where I was still bought in on it, and it started freaking me out. But then a couple times it would lean too much into the melodrama to where I was like, okay, this is a little much, but I was still into it. And the whole thing with the reporter and everyone else, she didn't figure, she couldn't do anything. But to me, that was almost like the point is like, you find out about this, like there's nothing you as like an individual can do. It can only be like what collectively humanity can do. And the second half of the movie was just like everyone like accepting that they're probably gonna die, or their loved ones are probably gonna die. And it was very overwhelming sometimes in a way that took me out of it. I think the blasting James Horner score over top of it enforce that in both ways. So I don't know. For me, I was just able to insert, like, I know none of the characters I felt were like deeply drawn, but I was just able to put myself in like the world of this movie and really get into it. So I don't know. I don't know if that's fair, but I can definitely see with what you guys were saying about the characters and their storylines.
I think that's fair. I didn't think about it until you said it. How it is very rapture-esque at the end, where it's just some are chosen and some are not. And I think one of the scenes that I wanted to sit in when it happened a little bit was when they were like, okay, so plan failed. Here's what's going to happen. There have been people who have been selected. They're already going to do that. There's going to be a lottery. You're going to get a phone call if Rod and I took it a little bit. I was like, what algorithm are they using?
Yeah.
But in that moment of the two teens with their family sitting in one house and the girl's dad getting up and them being, where are you going? To our phone. They're definitely calling us. And having that moment, like, I was like, oh, if I sat with this, I would be hyperventilating, because that's the idea of I'm sitting here with my neighbors, with my friends, and I would be I'm really happy that they got the call. I have 2 kids. My wife just gave birth, or is about to. Yeah, my wife is currently pregnant. There's no way we're not going to get a call, right? But we're not, and being like, how many people and how many, and what does this look like, and how random is it? And I don't know. Yeah, that was like one of the parts that had, again, one of the most emotional, like one of the scenes that I think they used really well to express the emotional depth of that. But also, like you said, there is definitely that religious tint that then moves through the rest of the movie.
Yeah, the rapturous, that is such a good word to describe it. Like it. Oh yeah. So like I feel like with those moments, I was able to get into it, and like even with some of the, there is sort of like a story between Elijah Wood and who's the other actress in that?
Lily? Was that her?
Well, yeah, so they had like, they had a little thing that was, again, that felt very melodramatic, but again, I bought into it more than Ben Affleck and Liv Tyler. So I was like, okay, I would call that a win.
Got to point out that both Lord of the Rings cast members in these movies carry rings at some point.
Oh my God.
Wait, who is it?
Liv Tyler.
Liv Tyler is Arwen.
Oh God, I was sorry. I was thinking because I got distracted by Deep Impact has 2 Star Trek actors.
Oh,
Denise Crosby is in there,
and James Cromwell.
And James Cromwell had a year in film that year. He was also in Species 2 and Babe, Pig in the City. So
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, I don't know. Their storylines I could definitely see being a criticism. But and I don't know, even the stuff I liked, I felt like, oh, this is maybe too much, like when you're drinking like and something's just got like a little bit too much sugar or something.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. But I feel like it's a fair way to feel about knowing you're gonna die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it did put me back in that mindset of like, I honestly felt similarly playing Majora's Mask on the Nintendo 64 in the year 2000, where even though it was like, this really simple type of game or whatever, and Zelda doesn't go big on stories, like just, I don't know, putting yourself in that situation and confronting your mortality in that way, in a almost biblical way, is heavy. I don't know.
I appreciate that you mentioned this felt like 2 movies stitched together at the middle, because I had the exact same thought. And this is me speaking with 20 years of hindsight, and I'm not a screenwriter. However, I thought each half of this movie, if stretched out to a full length, could have been 2 interesting movies that do different things.
And okay. I think that point, Goo, you'd said earlier that it was the squashing of 2 remakes together. And that might be what it is. This is the clash of the Hammer Gods or
possibly,
something.
Yeah. But if I can point to what I think is a better disaster movie for let's say the first half of Deep Impact, right? Like the political thriller meets race against the clock to fix this, world-ending event, or at least like some kind of horrible ecological disaster. I was going to say Contagion by Steven Soderbergh.
We actually mentioned that on a different podcast episode not too long ago, and I like the story I told was like I remember everyone rewatching that during COVID.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen it since the theaters, and I remember at the time, and again, I don't trust 21-year-old me's movie opinions. I remember at the time being like, this is boring. But I feel like if I saw this movie at the same time, I would have been like all out on the melodrama. I would have been like, this sucks. This is cheesy. Whereas like now it works for me. So
I felt like Contagion, it cycles through a bunch of characters, and it shows many different facets of this disaster, from, first contact, the first human carrier of this virus, to the scientists looking for a cure, to the the government response, to like just kind of like your low level family response, like a family has to quarantine in their house. Oh man, what's going to happen? I felt like Steven Soderbergh was able to handle all of these different aspects of this story in a really deft way. And he's a great director, very snappy. The editing was fun, but I thought he did a very good job of allowing those moments to breathe. You see, and there's a momentum. Everyone is trying to find the cure, and some people are just waiting it out, just like in Deep Impact. They're like, well, I have no direct power over this world-ending event. However, there is still this push forward. Deep Impact just stops. And you're just like, what now? And everyone's just like, we don't know. It's got to live with it. and so I thought
get that, but I almost like that it was just, I don't know. I just like that it was like, we're all going to die, deal with it. And like,
well, okay. And that points me to the second half of the movie. I thought if the movie if a movie had just started with a bunch of random news reports, featuring like the president giving his address, like we have, it's just quick, small segments. Like, this comment's coming. We know it's coming. We have a plan. Oops, the plan didn't work. And it's a bunch of responses. And the movie starts with, America, this is our last plan. Plan C. You will all be selected for a lottery. We're going to only take, 200,000 people. And we're going to put them in a cave. Half the people we've already pre-selected because they're the leading minds of our nation, including artists and scientists. And just
none of you olds.
Yeah, none of you olds. Everyone else, take care.
Yeah.
And I said, if that's a great premise. If the movie had just started with that, I'd love to live in that world for 2 hours,
Okay.
And people just realistically responding to what that means. Because I had so many questions that were just brushed away. Like, I was like, well, who did they select? Like, what great artists are they selecting to live on into the new world, right? And I'm like, it's 1998. Who's going in? Spielberg's going to be in there.
He wrote the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, what, Eddie Murphy? Like, who else is in there?
Excuse me, you did not do that, but also, no.
Well, he was dominating the box office that year. There was a week where the number one movie was Dr. Dolittle, and the number 2 movie was Mulan. So I feel like based on that,
that's fair. And we would need to save the comedians, especially if we're going to be trapped underground for several years.
Yeah, we need to laugh. Jay Leno's down there.
Yeah, exactly. Letterman's down there.
When you were saying that, I was like, oh, I think the movie you're thinking of that you would prefer it's a Steve Carell movie from, I think, 2012. I don't say I think. I'm looking at it right now because I looked it up. Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. And like at the beginning, it's already like, hey, the world's ending. A comet and or asteroid is coming to destroy us. Can somebody just like spend time with me? Can we just be friends for the 6 months before the planet ends? And then it's just, you walk the earth, seeing how many people are dealing with that.
Yeah. I also thought of Children of Men, which is a fantastic sci-fi premise. And it doesn't really, like, they don't need to explain why it happened, what's going on. And like, everyone's just like kind of living in the world. It's like, well, the government made this decision for all of us. What are we going to do? And it's like just these small, low level stories, like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I also get what you're saying, Goo. Like, there's something about the like impotence of what deep impact does, where it's like, our plan failed. Guys, please don't loot any. We'll figure it out. We're looting, and just like what you do as human, like, okay, what do you protect? What do you don't? How are you? Like, it doesn't matter where we flee. We're going to die, but something in at least keeping moving is going to help us feel better. And there's something in seeing that, like, struggling against an immovable force that is really human.
I agree with both of you that is a very interesting way to tell a story. I just didn't think this movie did a very good job. I think Majora's Mask is a better example of that story.
Sure.
That makes more use of this, like, makes better use of impending doom, and like looking at characters' responses to it more effectively than anything in Deep Impact. I'd rather live through the Andrew Caffey wedding story than Elijah Wood.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, there is an example of a movie that's done the like two different movies, different genres put together.
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Titanic, which is, a romance in the first half and then a disaster in the second half. It's a little different as the second half is them experiencing the disaster, where again, like the comet, that's the very end of the movie. But with like Titanic, you really they really sit in the environment for the first half of the movie. It's like, I'm very focused on your main characters, but you get to see them kind of throughout the entire ship. Like you see them in the higher class areas, the lower class areas, even the bottom where they're doing all the mechanical work.
Mm-hmm.
So, it does something, I think, that's pretty like well contained in the first half, but is very good at establishing everything you need to know for the second half.
Yeah,
you're totally right.
I don't know why I feel so compelled to do it's good because it's boring defense. Because there's nothing in here like nothing like Jack and Rose story going on or anything like that. But I almost
I guess here I can appreciate like sort of having snapshots of the characters' lives.
Because I would almost say like it's like Deep Impact isn't going for like the same sort of thing as Titanic. I would say Armageddon is going for more of a thing. Titanic, and that's where I feel like that fails it for me compared to this. Whereas I think the like, Rod, I like your idea about like just starting with it, like knowing that the doom is coming, but I don't know, there's something that works about it to me that it just like puts you in the world for a bit and like sells the idea. It really sells you on the idea that the government was hiding it. If they started the movie and they were just like, oh, they're announcing it, they hid it from people, like that could have been effective, especially with Morgan Freeman. He could probably sell you anything. But I feel like the fact that they showed a couple people, the reporter in general, like at least trying to figure it out, and then it it's starting to leak as it gets closer. Certain, it shows the fact that James Cromwell is not a character really in the movie, but just showing that idea of like even some people higher up in the know, like just they can't even like go along with it. They just have to like do what they need to do, and that's how it starts leaking. Like, it got me invested in it. And then the second part where they were sort of successful in that they blew up one of the asteroids, I guess. And to me, that also gave it more impact than Armageddon, because it was like a deeper impact, because it was like we will destroy some of the stuff. Like, we are gonna it's not going to be the total disaster. So there is some light, but we are going to like show you some of that stuff. And we are going to present you with like mass death, but in a way where people might survive and it might be okay for some people. So I don't know. I felt like they did a good job of like delivering on that while not feeling like, again, like Armageddon, like more, you know, it had this big sacrifice in it, but it's, you know, it's a little kind of perfect the way it ends, you know, more of like a movie way, where this felt like there was a reality to it because there was some unavoidable disaster. That wasn't like a sneak attack like the beginning of Armageddon, you know. It was like we knew this was coming.
Yeah.
I was thinking about how, like, with a lot of these disaster movies, like they feel very a lot of them are like very contained, like they happen in a town or city where, you know, you can have evacuations and a lot of people are going to be safe except for the, you know, the dumb characters that they need to like stick around so that they have some plot. But like with something like the comet, it's like you can't really go anywhere. You're just like stuck with this. And I think that that's one of the things that makes it feel so different, is that you're not attempting to escape or survive the disaster, really. So
you would have definitely seen militias like try to storm those caves, though.
Yes. Yeah. To be fair, like, to actually give you credit, like, I would probably rather see a movie that addresses stuff like that.
I was surprised that they mentioned the location, that they even said a state. I was like, why would you say where you're going?
Because
like people
Morgan
would try to get in there.
Told everybody not to do it, and they're going to listen to him.
You're right.
I would listen to anything you said. So
I agree with both of you. I think there's a good movie in here that like I recognize the potential in, but I just felt like what really did it for me at the end, I was just so frustrated because I felt like, where are this, like, there are no stakes in this movie. Like the climax, there's no climax. Like I didn't feel any suspense. So I just,
not when they're standing on the beach and the big wave hit them. That was crazy, I thought.
I don't know. I wasn't as invested by it at that point. I just felt kind of just very lethargic.
Yeah, I think for you, what it wasn't that there weren't any stakes. It was that you didn't feel any tension. So you didn't care about the stakes.
Yeah. Even with the one of my favorite subplots, but we really haven't spoken about, was like Robert Duvall in the spaceship. They failed their mission and they're just kind of floating in space, like defeated. They lost Jon Favreau. One of
R.I.P.
One of the astronauts is blind, and there's a really sweet scene where Robert Duvall just reads Moby Dick to him, and I was like, that was nice. I want more of that.
He wanted a different book, though.
That's all he had. That's what he said.
That, though, was the number one example to me of how they took all the moments. I liked what they were doing in the second half, but I felt like they took all the moments too far, where like he starts reading him the book and I'm like, great, that's sweet, that's a good thing. But then it's like, then the music swells and he's still reading, and it's like then it's like, no, now you're just like wallowing in this too much. It's like it's better if you just give me the impression of it, and then I have to like sit with this. And they would do that with like every scene with all the characters. And that's where I was like, okay, I liked the melodrama, but then they like just like they kept it on the like their foot on the gas like just a couple seconds too long in every scene. I was like, ugh, come on.
Yeah.
I also said the book should have been Princess Not Diaries. I do that each time. Princess Bride. An older man reading a story. It should have been. Come on, it was right there.
Then they could have like cut that into the movie when they show it again.
We can still do it. We just take the voiceover and we just put.
Gu, you mentioned at the start that this movie has more horrific scenes in space, like showing how deadly space can be. And it's like, yeah, the scene where the astronauts are on the comet, like doing their mission, and it's like sunlight will kill you.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that was the other like I like the cast of Armageddon more. It's like a lot of actors and stuff I really think are fun, like the astronauts. But I did like buy into what was happening to them more. But that has more to do with just how the action is directed in Armageddon. So
Yeah.
I was going to say, as far as a failing of Deep Impact, as far as those astronaut characters go, I thought it was kind of weird. And maybe this is just, again, subverting my expectations, which is it's not their fault. It's on me. But all those astronauts are like cocky, young, and they almost make fun of Robert Duvall like he's a washed up nobody who shouldn't even be on this mission. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, these astronauts, they trained their entire life for this. Mm-hmm. They went to school, they read books, they went through training. It's like they would revere that man because he actually went up and walked on the moon. And I'm like, I just thought it was so odd that they were so like awful to him.
It was like it was Top Gun or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't really like pay off to like he kind of did the stuff in the end and they all worked together, but there wasn't like I don't think it really paid off.
We were wrong. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like that when we were early on, I wasn't sure what the ending was going to like when it switched to being like this religious movie in the second half. I think that's why it worked for me too, is because I was kind of caught off guard because in the beginning when they were talking to all the astronauts and like I felt like I was like, this feels like they secretly are sending them on a suicide mission or something, and they don't know. Like the way some of the people were acting felt strange to me, where it was like, oh, is something going on here? I said that, and then McKenna, you were like, oh, is this going to be like a Noah's Ark thing? And well, you were more right, but I was right in the sense that they ended up doing a suicide mission, but not like that wasn't in the plan. Mm-hmm. And I think that surprise made me like it more because I thought it was going to be like Armageddon, where it's like like someone sacrifices themselves, but in this case, it was like part of the plan. And I was like, well, that's going to be like unsatisfying if it's just like, yep, we sent them up, they knew they were going to die, and they died, you know. So maybe it's because it subverted my expectations, but in a more like interesting way. Like maybe I thought the movie was going to be less. Like I thought it was gonna be stupider or something. So
mm-hmm. I think maybe you got like it was sort of some foreshadowing, mostly on Robert Duvall's character. Like I feel like when he's introduced, he gives off this vibe like he's not really. He doesn't really think he's coming back. Whereas I think the other astronauts have like this cocky vibe, like they're going to succeed, and like he's the one who comes up with the plan.
That's right. Yeah. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
I pulled this one line from the Roger Ebert review because I thought it brings up all the things we're talking about. On the disaster epic scale on which Titanic gets 4 stars and Volcano gets 1.5, Deep Impact gets 2.5, the same as Dante Peak, even though it lacks a dog that gets left behind. So
hold on. Well, there kind of is a dog that gets left behind in Deep Impact. It actually gets left. Well, they show the dog in Elijah Wood's girlfriend's wife's house.
Oh yeah,
there is a dog but they don't go back for it.
I mean, yeah, that's sad.
Shadow.
That's so funny. I was telling Jess, I owe Volcano like an apology because I liked Volcano way more than this.
You thought Volcano was better.
I did. It had more energy. It was dumb.
Yeah. I don't know why I got into this.
I'm glad it worked for you. I'm happy for you. Like legitimately.
But I'll probably rewatch it and hate it. So we'll see.
I think it's just for this one viewing, it wasn't what I wanted to see from the disaster movie. Maybe if we had watched it flip-flopped, it would have been better. Like if we watched the dumb Give Me the Goods movie first, and then the more cerebral Thinking Man's. Comet movie. That's the better order.
Maybe that could have happened to me too. Maybe we should try that experiment sometime, like a year from now. Watch them again, but in reverse order. Okay. This ended up being the 6th highest grossing movie of 1998, though. So, Armageddon was the highest, but that's still relatively pretty good. For
Top
all,
10.
Top 10. Not bad. I think most people consider this movie better.
You look at their Rotten Tomato scores, like they're basically about the same.
A Deeper Impact had more to say.
Yeah,
even if it didn't say it not legibly is for writing. What articulately. Even if it didn't say it articulately, it had a lot more to say than Armageddon.
Right. And I totally agree with that. And I think there's so much potential in this premise as presented in Deep Impact. I think I would like to see a Deep Impact miniseries, for example. I think there could be a lot of potential there.
Or a Soderbergh remake.
Yes.
We've discovered 2 comets. They're both headed for Earth.
This Friday, get ready for the biggest event in human history. Deep Impact, rated PG-13, starts this Friday in theaters everywhere.
Hey everyone, my name's Darren Hupke. I'm a writer, publisher, and podcaster. My podcast is called Pixels and Polygons. Each week I sit down with a guest and ask one simple video game question. It's a random topic each week and it leads to a fun conversation. You can find it on your favorite podcast platform every Friday, and you can read more about it at pixelsandpolygons.net.
Let's talk about Armageddon, which released on my birthday, June 29th, 1998.
Hey.
Directed by Michael Bay, produced by Jerry Bruckheimer as a dynamic duo. All kinds of writing credits on this movie. It's insane. There's more than actually get credited, but here's how it appears on the VHS. Story by Robert Roy Poole and Jonathan Hinesley. Adaptation by Tony Gilroy and Shane Salerno. Screenplay by Jonathan Hinesley and J.J. Abrams. So many guys. Score by Trevor Rabin. And McKenna, hit us with the back of the VHS.
From the blockbuster making team who produced and directed The Rock comes the biggest movie of the year, Armageddon, starring the explosive talents of Bruce Willis, Academy Award winners Ben Affleck and Billy Bob Thornton, Liv Tyler, Steve Buscemi, and Will Patton. Armageddon is a meteor storm of action-adventure movie making that has you on the edge of your seat, forgetting to breathe. When NASA's executive director, Dan Truman, realizes the Earth has 18 days before it's obliterated by a meteor the size of Texas, he has only one option: land a ragtag team of roughneck oil drillers on the asteroid and drop a nuclear warhead into its core. Spectacular special effects, laugh-out-loud humor, great characters, riveting storytelling, and heartfelt emotion make Armageddon an exhilarating thrill ride you'll want to experience like there's no tomorrow.
No, that was no
generous
description. Honestly, I was a little annoyed because one of the first things you said was like the biggest movie of the year, and I was like, "You're right, but you were guessing."
Yeah,
you just happened to be right. No,
called their shot. Okay, so yeah, what do we? I don't know where to start with this. The science off the wall in this movie. What do we think about Armageddon, Rod?
Okay, first things first. We mentioned things like The Rock and Con Air. They didn't mention
Bad Boys.
Bad Boys.
So,
what you gonna do? Sorry.
This is like the Bruckheimer like stable of characters. Like everybody that Jerry Bruckheimer like made famous, producing their movies is in on this. I love The Rock. Like I think that's Michael Bay has a style that doesn't always vibe with me. I think the Transformers movies are just too much. Like I get overwhelmed. And the second Transformers movie is one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
I hate those movies, but I like Michael Bay movies typically for some reason.
Right. I feel the same way. So I knew what we were getting into. And I think The Rock is like hilarious and very fun. And this is more like The Rock than it is Revenge of the Fallen. The score is hilarious. It's, sweeping orchestral score with electric metal guitars. It's the same composer as Con Air, which is the exact same thing. I just watched Con Air like last week. So I was primed to, be on board with this.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Great double feature would be Con Air and then this. Maybe not. I don't know. You might like have whiplash or something. But,
the reason, I love podcasting with you guys is you do really good job of like highlighting stuff with characters and story that I don't normally think. Like this is typically like my kind of movie, like one that's like it's just like vibes the whole time. Like everything looks like Michael Bay got to start doing commercials and music video type stuff, and like every scene like looks like that. So I'm just like, yes. But the characters and like the writing in this are like so awful in a way that again, I was thinking about you guys and being like, I can't wait, Jess, to hear like what you think about this cast of characters and like the writing of this fucking movie.
It definitely was a party where everybody thought that the juice was just juice, but it's jungle juice. And now the bathroom door is broken. There's 2 windows that are open. And for some reason, the bed in every room is glued to the ceiling. Like this was a movie. I will say I liked how it started off in that it was like, oh, this is Godzilla.
It's like, I was reminded of a critique of going back to J.J. Abrams, the third Star Wars sequel. What's that?
The Con one?
No, Rise of the Skywalker. I don't know. Star Wars, not Star Trek.
Yeah. Oh, I heard Star Trek.
Yes, yeah. He also did Star Trek.
He ruined them both. Yeah.
Yeah. But the third Star Wars Abrams movie or whatever. Someone did a critique of that I heard that was basically like, do you know how when a hypnotist has to, get his mark to get into the place where suggestion is possible, he will just have them think about 1,000 different things at once. Like, okay, I want you to picture this. Now picture this.
Yeah.
And it tricks the brain into being able to just accept anything. Mm-hmm. That is the start of Armageddon.
Yeah.
That opening scene is just like, we're going to hit you and hit you hard with 1,000 stupid things. You better turn your brain off.
Yeah. And I appreciated that after Deep Impact. But like the moment I turned my brain off was like, here, the thing it was the very beginning, all the impact, somebody saved my dog from this hole. He was Mickey Mouse. And
Eddie Griffin, I think is the comedian's name in the scene. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Griffin.
His dog's name is Little Richard.
Yes. But like a meteor shower hit and the president or Keith
David
said, oh, or maybe it was the NASA guy. He was like, Billy Bob Thornton. He was like, yeah, the meteor shower hit from Finland to South Dakota, but we're still keeping the secret. Nobody knows. I was like, in the U.S., what is Finland saying? like
it's out. The secret's out, guys.
New York has been destroyed, plus other places in the U.S.
We know as modern audiences what happens when New York City gets flattened. Like
nobody knows anything. What stays in New York happens in New York. Switch those.
First of all, I love that they do take a shot at Godzilla there. They have Godzilla get hit by. So it's like in universe, a little bit of meta pot shot taken there. But what you just said actually about this scene, I think it leads into one of your main points of the movie, that you felt like the characterization of meteor. Do we determine, is it a meteor in this one?
Or an asteroid?
It's an asteroid in this one.
You felt like the asteroid actually had some character.
Oh, yeah. I kind of realized this while we were watching Deep Impact, because of the way that like their shots of the comet were compared to the shots of the asteroid in this, and like the music it gives the asteroid this like villainous music.
It's twirling its
and
mustache.
it's like extremely dangerous when they're both very dangerous when they land on them, but it's just like it feels like the asteroid is like actively targeting them. And like, so I think of it as like this, the asteroid is the villain, but in like Deep Impact, it's the comet is part of space, which is dangerous.
And it's just like a natural
the way it
phenomenon.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such an interesting
Yeah,
take.
that's really, really interesting. It's almost like in Armageddon, it's like a comic book villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the boss.
You were saying, Rod, like we would know what happens when New York City gets attacked. I think that bears out in this movie where it's like we gotta fucking blow up this. We gotta nuke this thing, you know. Whereas like they don't have that attitude towards it in Deep Impact, really. So.
Oh, that reminds the one thing I didn't say about the comet in Deep Impact, when they're doing the presidential address and they mention it's the size of New York City, they then go to New York City and they're showing a shot of people watching it in like Times Square. So it's just like transport, a different view of the danger and of the place that is being impacted.
And they had that their version of New York in this was like, it was a thing where it's like they have to have something like, that's why I appreciated Deep Impact holding off like to the end, whereas this, it's like they just had to have like a sneak attack from that goddamn whatever boulder that's coming towards the planet, because it was like there has to be like something that happens, you know, like an inciting incident or whatever, you know. It can't just be like we found this out. There has to be like an attack that we respond to. So
just going with McKenna, what you said as it's like a character, the idea that it's like, I've been flying at you for many years and you haven't, look at me, and it's just hurtling it's just hurtling meteors and comets or whatever pieces of itself to be like, give me your attention, I want you to see me before I kill you.
Should I go over the asteroid versus comet?
Yeah,
sure.
Yes, I'm
Did
ready to
I pull
learn.
it up? Okay, all right. So this Armageddon is the asteroid. Asteroids formed from planetesimals in the inner portions of the solar system near the sun. The location in the center of the solar system was warm, so the planetesimals were mostly made of the rocks and metals that could withstand the heat. Most of them eventually became like the inner planets, and then the remaining ones became the asteroid belt, which is what separates Mars from the gas giants.
that is,
So that's coming from closer.
and they showed that happen, right? And then
Yes.
don't they show it just getting
It just
like
gets knocked
boom.
off.
It's
Yeah,
like,
just a little bump.
we watched the thing where some scientist was like, yeah, they're not all that close together.
Yeah, and yeah.
Anyway, sorry. You got the other one.
Comets formed in the outer parts of the solar system where it was cold enough that any water or similar hydrogen-based compounds took the form of ice. The planetesimals forming in this region were composed of not just rock and metal, but these ices as well. Some of them became big enough that they had enough gravitational pull to hold onto large atmospheres composed of the early solar system gases, and some of them became the gas giants. Others are just traveling through the solar system.
Wandering
Like we have
around.
comets that come around every once in a while.
Minding
Like-
their own business.
Halley's Comet.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay.
Well, there's some science. That's more science than is in Armageddon.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I don't know if there's really anything more we need to talk. I guess I will say one more science note is when they're on the thing later. I'm never going to remember which is which. When they're on
The comet
later in the movie, they explain it in the movie, which is like you guys said, like turn your brain off. But they're like, yeah, gravity is going to be weird up here, and like the gravity doesn't make any sense when they're on that thing. So.
Yeah,
You get space dementia up there too.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yes, that was awesome. I love the space dementia part. I was worried. I was worried for Steve Buscemi because they were going up there to what's that? Peter Stormare, and I was like, oh, he's gonna get thrown in the wood chipper. He put him in the wood chipper in Fargo. So
right. What's your secret name for this movie?
Armageddon on?
No. all of the main characters in this movie are.
Oh yeah, Drill Daddies, the movie.
Drill Daddies. Okay. Well, that is the ultimate science point that we can talk about. Is that, and this is something. So this movie got released. The Criterion Collection actually put this movie out.
What?
Yes. And that's actually, Rod, I sent you a review of it. It was written for Criterion in '99 when they released it. And it's a film, like a well-known film critic who wrote the like review of it. And they had Michael Bay as a student in film school. And they spend a lot of the article putting over Michael Bay. And a lot of it is very just. I think they talk about his eye for visuals and things like that. And they actually really talk about, and they pull these movies from like the 40s and 50s that are like about working men overcoming something, and they like really sell this movie as like an important part of the film canon, to the point where I was like, I feel like this is a joke, but they're actually really passionate about it. But so this got a release, a DVD release, obviously not just through Criterion, but one of the most famous things about the movie is Ben Affleck's commentary in the movie. He's like, I'm pretty sure he's wasted doing this commentary, and the scene where I'll have to send it to you. I should have sent it to you before, but it's so funny. The scene where they're showing Bruce Willis the drill early on, where he's like, yeah, these are salt of the earth guys. Like, you can teach a driller to be an astronaut, but you can't teach an astronaut to drill. He's like, don't you just point the drill? Like, he's going in on it. And he says, he's like, I asked Michael, like, what is up with this? Like, can't they just train the astronauts? And he's like, he told me to shut the fuck up. But yeah, that's the ultimate like science thing of it. This movie is like, yeah, we're just going to get these low life drillers to take care of this mission.
That's why it's so funny looking at these two movies together, because the main characters of Deep Impact, like a lot of them are very stuffy, like in like the jobs that they hold, right? Like if you're just an average Joe in middle America, you think, okay, the main characters of this movie are an NBC reporter, politicians, kind of like administrators, scientists, and like a kid from the science fair. And you're like, well, that sounds lame. And it's like, okay, main characters of Armageddon, you got like these tough, rough and ready
drill
daddies, who go to Vegas when they're not supposed to, and they take out loans and buy, they just go and hang out at the strip club. And
that's only one of the daddies.
This one's sleeping with his boss's daughter.
So that's something I like in Michael Bay movies. Like, and I totally get why this would just totally turn people off and like they wouldn't want to watch these movies. But the movies of his I like, and the ones I don't, like they're clearly being made for like Joe Sixpack, like the dumbest guy,
Yes.
And it's often like there are things that are like there are worse. He has worse stuff in other movies that are like gross and uncomfortable, but I get like a weird thrill out of them, and maybe that's easier for me to say, but I kind of get a thrill about them because I feel like they're very revealing to how at least Michael Bay views like masculinity and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I feel like that is slightly on display here. Like that the movie opens up with like the guy doing like Bruce Willis is the embodiment of the like 10 rules for dating my daughter t-shirt when he's chasing Ben Affleck down with the shotgun.
Yeah.
He's chasing him with a shotgun on an oil rig.
I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And on top of that, I was like, you own this. If it goes up, that's you. And you're on it. And what are we doing, bro?
Yeah, it's like oil spills aren't unheard of in 1998.
and they're like, fuck Greenpeace, you know, a bunch of hippies. You know, I was like, this is amazing. Sorry.
I bet you two have. I'm sorry, McKenna, you go ahead.
Oh, I just like the way this movie is with all of its female characters. Like the guy who sees the asteroid through his telescope is immediately, you know, you see his wife and he just, I want to name it after her because she's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
She's world ending.
Yeah. And then like Liv Tyler's character is just like, it's kind of just functions as a conflict between Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck, and then after that she's just kind of there to
feel
be
bad.
upset.
She has no character.
And then like Steve Buscemi's interactions with women are also
he's
feel really icky.
Yeah,
he's the worst.
I can't tell if that's a carryover from Con Air because he plays a creep in that movie too.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it's just like Michael Bay,
more sympathetic in there.
Like Ambulance is like the Michael Bay movie that like most has like a heart and soul, whereas I feel like a lot of his movie, like Pain and Gain is one that I really like, but like it's like all the characters are in the movie are horrible people. So.
Yeah.
And I feel like or that's the thing in the Transformers movie. It even happens with this, with the people who get hit with the asteroid in New York, where it's like, it just feels so callous the way he kills off people. Like it doesn't feel like it has any, like I get it. It's one thing like you compare, especially compared to Deep Impact, where it's the opposite way when they're killing these people. But it's like, you could tell it's just like a thrill almost, but it's like so weird. It's like weird because it's trying to make a movie like a James Cameron movie, but those are all like full of sappiness and like it's a very romantic movie, not like in the terms of like love, but you know what I mean, just like a very it romanticizes like the human existence, where Michael Bay's are like fuck Greenpeace and the government, like I shit on them, you know, well I guess I'll save the world, you know.
Jess and I just released a podcast with a special guest. We had Diana Goodman on from 30/2010. Great podcast. But
cool.
we were talking about The Terminator, and it was like, The Terminator's a feminist film. And I was like, you're right. And that's where it separates James Cameron from Michael Bay, where like James Cameron always has strong female characters in his movies, whereas Michael Bay's like, I don't got time for that.
Yeah. And then, but that, I think that's what I feel like is interesting about it, is I don't know if this is intentional, but like the male characters in it are like extremely fragile, like awful guys. So that's part of why I'm like, it's not intentional, but I'm like, it feels like a weird insight into maybe not even his mindset, but what I feel like it might be what he thinks, like, you know, oh, you piggies like this, don't you? Like,
that's what I was thinking. You know, it's more like, I know what the people want, so I'm just going to give it to them.
This is a paycheck.
Well, I don't know. Like, you can tell the man, he values his craft, you know, and it's like, Jess and I, speaking of Roger Ebert, this was completely a coincidence, but like, Jess has on her YouTube has been recommended a bunch of old, Siskel and Ebert videos.
Yeah.
And they used to do episodes about the worst of each year, and the worst of 98 just showed up on her feed. And I was like, we got to watch that. And I scroll through. And Armageddon was mentioned by Roger as one of his least favorite movies of this year. And Siskel was like, you know what? It's bad, but I kind of admire the audacity of it.
I was like,
he said it because I was like, we've had 30 years of Michael Bay at this point. We know what to expect. And I was thinking, yeah, this is a Michael Bay movie. It is unflinching, it's unrelenting, and it's audacious, and that's what I like about it.
Mm-hmm.
When I say like I think it was bad, like I actually still like enjoyed watching it and everything. I agree with what you said there. I actually have from Ebert's review. I also think this is very true. He opens his review with, "Here it is at last, the first 150-minute trailer. Armageddon is cut together like its own highlights. Take almost any 30 seconds at random and you have a TV ad."
Yeah.
I was like, that is how I felt. Like, I think multiple times during the movie, we're like, this looks like a fucking Coke commercial or something like that. I think Ben Affleck says that. And we watched one scene where he's like, he was into it though. He was like, I love this. He was like,
I think he was like, it looks like a military recruitment video, because it's just like very like American patriotic through a lot of its imagery. And there's like one where there's like these kids running around, like you want to protect them. And
well, that's like kind of an open secret. It kind of is a commercial for the military. I think like in order to use military equipment in your film, you have to sign an agreement that you're going to present the U.S. military in a positive light. Like that's part of the deal. So that's why Michael Bay is like he's just completely supportive of putting this weird kind of propagandist slant in his movies, because he's like, well, I got to have access to the jets and the helicopters, so rah.
Yeah, he doesn't care. I don't care.
Yeah, while we were watching it, I said I was saying this feels less like a disaster movie and kind of more like a military. Like this is a group of like trainees who are suddenly going into their first mission that's much more serious than it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, I could really... It plays out that way, too, because when they get up there is all this, like, conflict. There's, like, this whole... I don't know how you feel about the part where it was like, well, we're going to detonate it, even though we haven't drilled, and they've got the one guy up there who's like, I'm going to do it. And they're like, don't do it. So there is a bit of, like... military or like action movie drama, and there's a bunch of like they're ramping the thing, they're doing big jumps with the thing, and it gets pretty outrageous.
Have you ever heard of Evel Knievel?
I do love the line where he's like, who brings a gun into space?
I have to make sure we mention something. I just have to mention this before we get out of here, because it's the most important part of the movie to me. And I told this story already actually on our podcast, but I got the VHS tape of this movie in 1998 as a Christmas gift from my aunt, but I was not allowed to watch my parents would not let me watch the movie.
Wow.
For years I didn't see it, but I had it and I coveted it. And I'm guessing it's because of the animal cracker scene. And so I just wanted to make sure we talk about the animal cracker scene before anything else happens. I guess the thing I want to actually, McKenna, describe the animal cracker scene. I want you to do it. I don't want to say it.
Liv Tyler and Ben Affleck are lying on the grass outside before he has to go on his mission, and she's got like a button-up shirt that's been unbuttoned and it's opened up, and Ben Affleck's got some animal crackers that he's playing with on her stomach, like they're in the wild, and they're all gathering around her belly button, which is a watering hole, and he's making some very
great. This is more
goofy remarks about it, and then he's like, "Oh, what if we went south?" And he travels south, and "Don't Want to Miss a Thing" starts playing, and you're like, "Oh wow, that's her dad singing about this."
Okay. I really would love to see Ben Affleck drunk reacting to that and being like, "Oh, her father's here now," in my head.
It's so funny. And I should also mention Armageddon, the album, was a high grossing or a high.
It's a good soundtrack.
It's a lot of Aerosmith.
Aerosmith, ZZ Top.
They thought that this scene was so good. The last song on the album is called Animal Cracker, and it is literally just the audio of this scene.
Wow.
That is how. Yeah, I have to actually shout out our friend and podcast network mate Nick McConnell, who posted months ago on Blue Sky an all-time favorite scene in any movie ever, an absolutely idiotic Animal Cracker foreplay scene. Where she asks if he thinks anyone else is doing the exact same thing at this exact same time. Weird Animal Cracker foreplay and voices. And Ben Affleck says yes, because otherwise, what the hell are we fighting for? So insane. So shout out to Nick.
It's funny that your parents didn't want you to see something like that, because that scene is nowhere near as leering as things I've seen in the Transformers movies ostensibly made for children.
That's fair. I was older when, so I didn't have, they also didn't let me watch Starship Troopers. This is just weird. Why are you putting Animal Crackers in fans? I don't know.
We don't kink shame here.
I didn't buy into this relationship.
Oh, it was awful.
It was awful.
Bad.
You know what I said which relationship I bought more into is the one guy who goes to see his ex-wife, I guess, who has a kid.
That was a Deep Impact type thing where it was there wasn't much to it, but it was I think the actor was
I feel way more chemistry between them, even though they're not, they're divorced or whatever.
I think that guy just does a good job looking sad.
Yeah.
I love the scene where they're the drill daddies are heading off to space, and that ex-wife is so proud of that man. She looks at her son, because before, when he tries to go see his son before he goes off, she says, oh, I want nothing to do with you. And she tells her son, oh, it's just a delivery man.
Salesman.
He's just a salesman. Then later on, when she actually feels pride for him, she looks at her son and says, you see that guy right there? That's your dad.
I did mention when that happened, I was like, why would you say that now? He
literally,
there's a
my
good chance he's
words.
Not coming back. It's a horrible time to mention that this guy's your dad.
Yes.
I was like, he could die in space, or you could all die. So just don't do that. Wait until he gets back, if he gets back.
That's one of the more sympathetic portrayals of a woman in the movie. And even that was kind of well, he kind of showed her. I don't think that was the intention, but it was
Yeah. Talk about sacrifices in these movies. We lose in Deep Impact, we lose Jon Favreau, which is kind of sad. It looked really terrifying, him just floating off into space and stuff
Awful.
like that. But I didn't really feel that connected to him, so I didn't feel the weight of the loss. But I will give this to Armageddon. They make us care about the characters who die in based on everything you see up to that point. There's the heavier guy who Jess said is he has a heart of gold. He loves his mama.
Yeah.
Type of guy. And he dies almost in a similar way. Right? Is that right? Or no,
yeah.
I can't remember. Did he get shot?
He does technically get shot. It gets blown up under him, and off in space he goes.
Right. I felt the weight of his death more in Armageddon.
Yeah.
I feel it just this. I think I just take so much more in via just the action or whatever, and I just felt all the stuff that was happening. And Michael Bay movies are meant to be these explosive, loud, disorienting movies, but I actually usually feel they capture they get something out of me with the action. But I feel I don't know if it's a combination of this is also they did have a set, but it's very CG heavy compared to some of his other. They all his movies are, but you know what I mean. This is you're out in space and stuff. But I felt it was so hard to follow things. So I was not invested in the situation they were in. You know what I mean? Whereas I feel again, the Deep Impact felt more they lingered on things. I really felt the impact less so because the character. Because I didn't really care about Jon Favreau that much, but I could just again, it conveyed what they were going through more, where with them, it's quick cuts and like explosions and things are getting ripped apart, and I'm like, this is all like, it felt weightless to me, I guess I would say.
That's crazy, because I felt the exact opposite. You know, like I think this was because, going back to the lack of tension in Deep Impact, this movie, I was like, at least it has tension. Like, it is dumb as a rock. It's as dumb as the rock they land on. But at the very beginning, they're like, this asteroid's here. We got 17 hours. Here's the clock. And that clock's going to count down for the whole movie. And I was like, there you go. That's tension. There's a clock. And they just keep there's a clock in almost every scene. You're constantly reminded of, they're working against, I'm always working against the clock, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I do agree with that. This movie had way more tension, and it was because like everything kept going wrong, right? And it was like you were almost not out of a situation before the next wrong thing happened.
That reminded me of Titanic, going back to what McKenna mentioned. Titanic, the end of the second half of that movie is just constant problem versus problem that they had to overcome constantly.
Yeah, I think that specific death was the only one that I really felt the most on. I mean, I guess John McClane died at the end, but we're going to talk about the big guy floating out into space. And that was because of how it happened, right? Like, both of us in the room were like, space dementia, come on, bro. But like, because I found, even though he was awful, I found Steve Buscemi's character one of the more interesting ones because of the dynamic of being like, I'm really smart. I have bunch of degrees. I'm telling you, like, this is why we needed to land here. And the idea of this like brilliant mind choosing to squander everything, work on an oil rig, and become just kind of a horrible pervert.
Be a degenerate.
Just a degenerate, and being like, okay, well, there's many stories there as to like why anyone, and not just because like, oh, you're so smart, but why anyone would take like a life that is allowing, not just giving you handouts, but a life that is going to like really set you up, maybe not for glory or whatever, to choose to turn away and just be like, I'm always drunk. I'm spending all my money, and I'm taking out bad loans because I don't expect to like come back. And he was so helpful in so many scenes. And then for him to just kind of like space dementia and be the reason. This was one of the things, like I said, a couple of days later, it might have been today actually that I said it, that I was like, in the movie, I was like, I wouldn't have invited them. Why is he not in jail? Like, why is he not in military jail? He fired a gun a bunch of times and then just like a guy flew off dead. And then I was like, oh, probably because space dementia was like, it wasn't your fault. So we're letting it go. But I also was like, you're not coming to my wedding. You killed one of my drilling daddies. And then
you killed the nicest drilling daddy.
And then I was like, how does this character live with himself? Because yes, maybe you were in an impeded state of mind, but you come down from it and you're like, I endangered the lives of all of the people I've considered family and was personally responsible for the death of one that I pulled along with me to these degenerate places because that was my way of taking care of him. And while he flew up, I smiled, laughed, and I said, bye-bye now. How does that man live?
They should
with himself?
make the sequel just about him.
like I found him so, I was just like, I think that is not what this movie is. And I think it would take a really, really awful turn. But why aren't we sitting in things like that, right? There was so much stuff that just like, oh, go, flash, bang, we're going really fast. But there were so many like small character things that I was like, in the same way, but different from Deep Impact, that I was like, why aren't we sitting here? Why aren't we talking about the implications of this? The timer is so much shorter now. Mm-hmm. The implications of you telling your daughter, hey, I'm going up in space and I'm taking your boyfriend. I know that I literally just tried to kill him. I probably won't kill him in space. And we're not going to have a conversation about that, or any of the things. Even when we're like spending time rounding up this mismatched team, I was like, oh, I really like that sequence of like, one is on a horse, one is on a motorcycle, one is in a bar, one is just getting a tattoo with his mom, and just being like, oh, we're seeing a little bit of character of each of these people so that we're knowing a little bit more of them as we're going to move into this this segment, this training section montage and stuff like that. And I was like, there's so much that we could do, the camaraderie that we could really like meld together and then make this like the world is ending if we don't get ourselves together, but our family is tearing apart if we don't get ourselves together. And like both of these things need to like come together so we can save the world. Like there's so many things that I was like,
Yeah, and they don't do it. They're all more or less the same, like rough and tumble guys that they are at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
You know? Like no one has an arc, but except for Bruce Willis. And Ben Affleck, like their arc, like, and I'm thinking about it now, is like Bruce Willis's arc isn't even really an arc. It's like the appearance of an arc. You know, it's like Michael Bay and all the, you know, these 17 writers, they all thought, well, it makes sense. This guy hates his daughter's boyfriend at the start of the movie. By the end of the movie, it's a Hollywood screenplay. He needs to call him son at the end. And he does,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, you know, make me proud, son. You know, that's the last thing he says to him. And it's like, that's a character arc. And it's like, not really. It just looks like one.
Yeah, there's not much that happens between them that's very convincing. Like,
yeah.
It does remind me of like when people will call something a redemption arc and it's just like the evil character sacrificing themselves at the end.
mhm.
When it's like, well, no, they like maybe had a change of heart, but they didn't like undo any, like they didn't work through anything. So it's not a redemption arc.
Yeah.
I think that's
Like they paid
yeah.
lip service to a redemption
It was
arc.
martyrdom.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I don't know. I think the movie, I enjoyed it, but I did think in terms of, like buying into, I enjoyed it more as a gawking at it as a spectacle. And like, obviously I like the visuals throughout it, but like for me, like nothing really hit at the end because, and I think it's kind of a victim too. Like a lot of Michael Bay movies I like are like action packed throughout and it's dumb and loud the whole time. But like, this is a movie where, like you said, Jess, like there's these training scenes and stuff like it's not really an action movie. And then when it goes into Michael Bay action mode, like at the end, I'm already out on like what the movie was before. I'm not invested in these characters. Like, like you can't just start blowing things up and expect me to care unless it's like really good. And I feel like it didn't. I don't know. It didn't deliver for me in the action department. So
you didn't much care for like the training stuff.
I thought it was funny. Like there were funny parts, but yeah, I wasn't really. I liked it in terms of like it. Again, to reference it to James Cameron, it would be like if James Cameron in Aliens thought the Marines were like actually cool. You know what I mean? Like it was like, oh, that's our team here. And so there was some fun in that, like seeing them kind of, go through the motions. Like it was kind of like a comedy movie in that section, you know? So for me, it was similarly a victim of like almost feeling like different movies. And it stood out to me more here because it was a Michael Bay movie and like there is sort of a, and maybe there's no tension because I've seen it before, like I did eventually watch this, my parents forbidding me only kept me away for so long. So maybe it was more of just like a victim of like, I'm revisiting it and I never thought it was like that great, but like I'm watching it now and I'm like, oh, this is not a good movie. So.
It's funny. I actually like this is like a very much an 80s 90s trope of the slobs versus snobs.
I do like that. Yeah, I do like
and
that.
I typically really like that because I think just by nature I'm really anti-establishment, but not in like a destructive way, but it's just like I like to see like the snobs get one-upped by, kind of just your salt of the earth guys, like I'm reminded of one of my favorite 90s movies of all time because it's so 90s. D2 The Mighty Ducks.
Nice.
Which is another one of this ragtag group of dummies and weirdos and kids who don't play by the rules. Like they all come together to win a very serious hockey championship against this very disciplined Icelandic team. And that's what this reminded me of. It's like none of these guys are very refined. They're not polite. They're anti-establishment. I love one of my favorite scenes, honestly, is like them negotiating the deal to go up there in the first place.
Yeah.
It's like, well, here's what we want. We want all of our like parking tickets to be dismissed.
We want to stay in the White House for a long weekend.
And we never want to pay taxes again,
which is the only valid ask.
Which is very funny. And I'm like, they're bad people, but I don't know. It's just like I like to see them come up against a very stuffy establishment type, like Keith David is that guy. He's very by the book, and then it's almost like I'm also reminded of Police Academy. It's the same thing. This is like Police Academy, but for astronauts.
Yeah, I think a lot of Bill Murray movies. I like Stripes.
Yeah.
I think of like that
Yes.
sort of. Yeah. No, I definitely can appreciate that for sure.
That's why I was kind of bought in on the training montages and stuff like that, because to me it's just like, this is pure 90s fun. It is a comedy and it's intensely stupid, but I'm like, it's of its time. I think I'm willing to forgive it for that.
That's what you came for.
That's what I came for. That's what it said on the tin.
These two movies do feel like they kind of represent like the mainstream like political compass. Here you have like the Joe Sixpack, like we don't want to pay taxes movie, and then here you have the like if we had Morgan Freeman as president,
It's
and
the MSNBC.
Just everything's we believe in the system.
Democracy dies in darkness type.
Yeah. Yeah, this is part of the political compass right here.
The scene where Bruce Willis is like basically shooting golf balls at the Greenpeace boat, like that's these two movies.
Exactly.
Armageddon's on the oil rig and Deep Impact's on the boat with the Greenpeace activists.
And that's what happened at the box office, because this was the highest grossing film of 1998. So, they won. Like, I can't criticize that. For love, for honor, for mankind, it says up here. And also, I noticed that it only credits Bruce Willis on the cover. He gets his big name across the top. No Ben, no Liv. That's sad. I feel like we should probably start wrapping it up, just so we don't take any more of your time. But I feel like we should say where we fall on the spectrum between Armageddon, Deep Impact, and Volcano, Dante's Peak. Jess, would you like to go first?
No. I've got to think now.
Okay. McKenna, I feel like you have thought about this.
I'm a Dante's Peak, Deep Impact.
I'm with you there. Though I could almost see the arguments. I don't know. There might be some. What would be the weirdest combination? Rod, what's your answer?
I think, and it's funny, like I see positives and negatives from all four of these, right? Like, I
think it's like none of these are Titanic. I think.
No, that's the perfect, I'm like, some of these movies are so pretty. Like all of those movies are actually very pretty to look at, like, I
enjoy them all for very different reasons, but I enjoy them. Yeah.
I think like just with this past viewing, I had so much more fun watching Armageddon than I did Deep Impact. And then after our Volcano episode, I think I had more fun watching Volcano than I did Dante's Peak. Even though it's like, I could agree, it's like Dante Peak's the smartest movie of the bunch.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Deep Impact might be the one in terms of like the science.
It tried to be smart. I think I made my case on why I felt like some of the stuff was
fair.
Like, unbaked.
Dante's Peak actually feels like it's gesturing towards, it's trying to be Cameron-esque.
Yeah.
Like I remember feeling that way watching it, but Volcano is like a less, like, because you just can't compete with the Michael Bay spectacle, but I feel like Volcano has some of that energy there where it's like Tommy Lee Jones is kind of like your old grumpy guy, like Bruce Willis, your everyman, let's just say, and then like it's like a really it's a goofy movie, I feel like.
Yeah.
But it also does, like, I think of that scene where the guy's in the subway and he's like running and burning alive. Like,
That's what I keep thinking about.
That's like a very like Michael Bay type coded thing as well.
Everyone survives in Volcano and in Armageddon. Like, people survive being like millimeters away from an explosion. Like,
except for Paris.
Yeah, they do just that's what I mean though. I felt like the way things were taken out in Deep Impact felt a bit more like it's just so like oh, it's like Independence Day. We have to destroy like these recognizable things, whereas like it felt like in Deep Impact it's like, well, they showed that happening, but they give you a sense like this destroyed like a ton of stuff. So I don't know. I'll probably swap on this later.
Jess hasn't answered yet.
Yeah, Jess, what's your answer?
Sorry, my brain did a spoonerism, and I was going to say Deep Dante.
Deep Dante.
Dante's Impact.
Dante's Impact and Deep Dante are both worse titles that have way worse connotation. We can't do that again. But I think those two are the ones for me. I was sitting here thinking about it. I was like, yeah, even if I'm thinking Deep Impact was not my favorite pacing wise, I think that I enjoyed the parts of it more than Armageddon. Though Armageddon was easier to get through because I didn't have to think very often, and most of all of my comments were like, "Well, that was stupid. That was dumb. Why are we doing this?" But the other one like engaged me more, and I was like, "Okay, that makes sense. That's interesting." And why didn't they do this better? So I think I had a better time with Deep Impact that way. And I think in the same way, Dante's Peak, oh my gosh, I was going to do it again. It has the same kind of vibe where it's like, okay, there's a lot of parts that are like placed at the beginning, and everything more or less makes sense as you're watching it, except Grandma staying with the house.
Ooh, yeah. I guess that was like their version of the mom staying back. But
yeah.
I didn't reckon with my mortality watching Armageddon, I'll say. I didn't think about it once. So maybe that was nice. Also,
that's fair.
When Bruce Willis was like, "No, I'm going to do it." I'm like, "Yeah, not to be mean, but you should have been the one to do it the whole time, man." Like, come on.
There was
You're in
no
charge here, right?
We're not sending the Russian. He's going home. He deserves it.
Yeah. Oh, he's poor guy. He's been up there for too long.
How come he didn't have space dementia?
He had the best case for it.
Should have had more Peter Stormare.
Yeah, we love him. I guess we should mention, we did mention the soundtrack, but real quick, what does everyone think about the hit music video or song, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing?
Rodney, come on.
We've been singing it to ourselves like all week.
Well, yeah, it's been stuck in my head, so
yeah, that's the other than the Homestuck connection, that was the one thing I knew about this movie before I'd seen it, was that Aerosmith song, and I love it. It's one of my go-to karaoke songs.
I knew it. I was like, this is a song many people have to sing in karaoke. I honestly I didn't do it, but I thought, it was like, I'm going to go find a better cover of this because I don't really like Steven Tyler's voice. And I'm sure there's someone out there that can kill it.
He's creepy. So
yeah,
he's a creep.
Just like watching his mouth when he sings it. I'm just like, something's going on there.
Let me slip this in. My first concert I ever went to was Aerosmith and Kiss when I was 12.
Oh, wow.
And just 4 years after this movie came out. So
lots of mouth stuff. Sorry, inside thought. I'm real sorry. Cut it.
Nope.
Oh no, we're not gonna
leave it in.
Come on, I've done so many bad things. There's been Drilling Daddies, Dante's Impact. Come on, give me one.
It's an asteroid.
How big?
It's the size of Texas, Mr. President.
July 1st.
The United States government has just asked us to save the world.
Nothing can prepare you for the event that will rock the world. Bruce Willis, Liv Tyler, Ben Affleck.
That is my father!
In a Jerry Bruckheimer production, directed by Michael Bay. Armageddon.
Wow.
Rated PG-13.
You know, obviously we could talk for 2 more hours about these movies. Yeah, it was a good time. Jess, Rod, thank you. Always a pleasure talking to you guys. Like I said, Rod, even though I feel like both the movies we felt so differently about. I like having you both on, like I said, because I just feel like I almost feel like you guys look at movies in a much smarter way than I do. Half the time I'm like,
even though this sitting, I decided I was willing to just, let the dumb wash over me.
Like, I don't want to be nitpicky. Unfortunately, that's my personality.
No, I think it leads to we had a good discussion. And is there any what would you like to plug?
Well, you can follow MediaMade on all your podcast platforms. We are at MediaMade on Blue Sky and at MediaMade Show on Instagram. We're kind of doing it. We slowed our schedule down a little bit, so we're just kind of throwing episodes up as we record them every couple months or so. We plan to get back on track and cover movies, music, and TV chronologically again sometime soon. But for now, we talked a little bit about Armageddon and Deep Impact in our webcomics episode. We looked back at 1976 movies. We went back 50 years and talked about 3 movies from 76.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. I'm on Blue Sky at Rod the Master.
I also have another podcast with a friend called Spinning Tales. She's a therapist. I'm a writer, and we talk about how characters in fiction are really just built out of the people that we are. And we do a lot of fake trauma bonding. I'm just kidding. It's a lot of fun. We make stories up on the spot. So if you want to check that out, we're on wherever you have podcasts, or it's a YouTube podcast. So you can check us out at Spinning Tales _pod on YouTube. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, yeah, we'll definitely I mean, you've mentioned so many twin movies. I feel like there's so much more opportunity for that. I know 1998 does give us A Bug's Life and Ants, so that's for sure something we'll do once we get there.
Go back to the DreamWorks Disney rivalry.
Yeah, this is a new storyline we can explore. So
I was thinking, what other disaster twin movies are there? Like, I think 99 has End of Days, but I don't know what a twin movie for that is.
That's really funny because as we were talking, you guys were talking so much about like the score of Armageddon that I was like, want to make them watch The Bodyguard.
Yeah, if you want to go back to the early 90s and watch The Bodyguard, that's a movie we'd love to talk to you two about.
Let's do it. We don't even need a reason. Like, let's just do it based on that song alone is worth it. Well, there's a discussion to be had. And McKenna, you were playing with this. That came up in a movie soundtracks in the 90s were very even in 98, a lot of big hits were spawned via movies. Like Armageddon, the album, I think unseated like Godzilla, the album, which it unseated City of Angels, which gave us, Iris and Arms of the Angels,
Goo Goo Dolls,
and Bodyguard. You were talking about a podcast you're listening to that was talking about the reasons behind
why movie soundtracks were so big in the 90s.
So we can connect the Bodyguard easily slots into that. So. Well, all right. This is a lot of fun. Everyone, you can check out our stuff at flashback64.com. Check out all the other podcasts on our network at soundstone.network. McKenna, great job today.
Great job.
What's the deal with I don't want to close my eyes, I don't want to fall asleep, and then in the Goo Goo Doll song is I don't want the world to see me? Sorry, I know I was about to end the show, but what's with the not seeing or not seeing? What's going on there? Somebody let us know.
You guys really do.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. I'm Nick McConnell, and you caught me reading the instruction booklet for Street Fighter II in preparation for my weekly stream Instruction Derby, where I take a look at the creative, fun, and sometimes bizarre lost art of video game manuals. Did you know that, according to the manual for Street Fighter II on the Super Nintendo, Ryu was born in 1964, making him 62 years young, canonically? Happy birthday, Ryu, you're looking great. Did you also know that, per the manual for Laser Invasion on the Nintendo, the UN enters a conclave in order to select a new commando? Or did you know that the dancing enemies in Super Castlevania are named Paula Abgul and Fred Askare? These important facts and many more are discovered every Wednesday at noon Pacific on Instruction Derby over at internet website twitch.tv/Nick McConnell. Part of the Soundstone Network.
Hello, we are Kirby Conversations, a podcast on Kirby along with adjacent subjects like Smash Brothers, HAL Laboratory, and other related Nintendo games.
In each episode, we take an in-depth look at a new Kirby topic, drawing on our decades of experience with the series. I'm Sean Douglas. I'm a writer and podcaster with a background in video game and theater journalism.
And I'm Gigi, the editor-in-chief of Kirby and a big Kirby fan from Brazil. I translate Kirby interviews from Japanese to English and research a bunch of obscure Kirby media.
And I'm Bridget, a longtime fan, commentator, fan artist, and Kirby collector.
Join us for a mix of commentary and original reporting, deep dives into Kirby history, interviews with industry professionals, and more, as together we explore all things Kirby and HAL Laboratory. We're a proud part of the Soundstone Podcast Network, and you can find Kirby Conversations on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.